Hello everybody, Skippy Gamer here. Welcome to my video review of Sonic Adventures 2 Battle. This is one of the many games me and my sister grew up playing during our childhood, and we liked it. Even to this day, there are some times, maybe once in a blue moon, we play the heck out of two-player mode, which is fun. During my decision of the score for this game, I had somewhat of a hard time deciding the score for this game. Because on one hand, some stuff in this game I don't care for that much anymore due to the fact that I grew up playing this game. I know it too well to enjoy. And I wanted to give it a good enough score that I could recommend it to a lot of people. Because I know a lot of Sonic games of nowadays aren't praised that much compared to the 2D Sonic games. Plus, the Sonic games has a lot of problems like glitches and such. And there are some glitches in this game, but it's still a good game. But how good is it? Is it the awesomest Sonic game in the world? Or just okay? Okay, that did not sound right. Then I guess we should press the start button and find out. Story. The story to this game is okay. It's pretty basic, but kind of cool at the same time. Kind of, anyway. There are two story modes that run parallel to each other, a concept I do like, called Hero Story and Dark Story. Yeah, it kind of is. It's good to start with the hero story, but I think the entire story starts at the dark side story. But I will try to explain both stories as best as I can. Hey! In Hero Story, we see the military called GUN, or Gun, has ambushed Sonic, our main hero. Well, upon escaping, then battling a huge robot, we find a black hedgehog named Shadow, and it's here that Sonic figures out that this hedgehog did something and made it look like Sonic did it. I know it is. Talk about a first impression on your first game, huh? Sonic gets arrested after that. Meanwhile, we find Knuckles the Echidna and Rouge the Bat next to the Master Emerald, with Rouge wanting it so bad. Then Eggman steals it. Then Knuckles breaks the emerald to prevent it from falling into Eggman's hands. Rouge chokes Knuckles for breaking it. Knuckles explains why he did it. And Rouge explains that she wants all the world's gems, jewelries, etc. And they begin a quest separately to find the pieces of the Master Emerald. Again. Then we see Tails flying to save Sonic, when he sees Eggman about to hurt Amy. So Tails does a... to stop him. After that, Amy says she is trying to save Sonic too. Later, Amy saves Sonic. More things happen in the story, but I will stop explaining there. In the Dark Story, we begin before the beginning of the Hero Story, as we see Eggman breaking into the military base Sonic gets locked up in later. Eggman reveals that he is here to find the military's top-secret weapon that his grandfather created years ago, but was then shut down because they feared it. Later, we find out that the Black Hedgehog, Shadow, is the top-secret weapon. After Shadow demonstrates his power, He tells Eggman to bring more Chaos Emeralds and to come to the Space Colony Arc, where he'll be waiting for him. After that, Knuckles and Rouge meet, and the same cutscene on the Hero Story plays again, with very little differences. Okay, there are 2 differences I could think of, but it's still not worth seeing a second time, so recommend skipping it. Later, we find out that Shadow broke into a bank to steal a Chaos Emerald. Who knows? And this crime Shadow committed is the same crime that Sonic got framed for. Then a flashback of Shadow and a girl named Maria comes on, and we find out that he promised her revenge for the people of the Earth. Later on, we are at Space Colony Arc, and in the central control room, we find out that Eggman's grandfather made a super weapon called the Eclipse Cannon. And if Eggman should ever get to all 7 Chaos Emeralds, it can have enough energy to destroy an entire planet. Again, other events happen in between and after this, but I'm gonna stop there. The story is okay. I don't think the story is awe-inspiring like Final Fantasy or anything nowadays, but it's a good story. Although some of the cutscenes were interesting. Well, for one, the animation in certain cutscenes, and the lip sync in them, is not that pleasant. The characters' motions in cutscenes doesn't fit how they are talking, or with the situation of the cutscene. Plus, there were instances, 1 or 2 I believe, where the things the characters were supposed to say appear too late or maybe too early. And even on how they talk doesn't appeal to the cutscenes they are being played in that much. Wait, didn't I already mention that? That's pretty much it for the problems. There was another problem, but other than that, the story is okay. I mean, it's pretty basic and such, so it's not like awe-inspiring like in Final Fantasy, but it's an enjoyable story. I keep saying things I already mentioned. Oh yeah, one cool feature of the story is that each story mode runs parallel to each other. Even you could play 2 sides of a specific part of the story mode, like if 2 characters are fighting each other, which I do like. With everything I said and more, I decided to give story 2 stars.
Sound test.
Music. The music is okay for the most part. It's not all that inspiring, like awe-inspiring, but there were some tracks I did like. So some of my personal favorite were for Sonic and Shadow's full theme song. The sound effects are okay too, although I don't have that much to say about it. There actually is a mode in Extras where you can listen to all the audio tracks in the game, which is cool. With everything I said and more, I decided to give music 3 stars. Graphics. The graphics are okay. I honestly like the models, and futuristic computer-looking things, and other stuff. Although, like I said before, I do agree that the animation and lip-syncing in the cutscenes aren't the greatest. But that's the only problem. Honestly, the footage that I showed in my other 5 videos are darker than I remembered. And I remember them being much brighter than that. Although I don't fully know how to fix that in my Elgato recorder settings, to get it matching, so I had to go by memory. And I do remember being impressed by it. Although, I also do remember the Xbox 360 version's updated graphics, and I was impressed by that. So, who knows? But all in all, I like the graphics in this game. With everything I said and more, I decided to give graphics 4 stars.
This game of tag is boring. I'm out of here. Finally decided to show up, eh? Okay, bring it on.
Gameplay.
Reporting to headquarters. Intruder has been located.
Copy that.
The game has 3 main gameplay segments in a great majority of the game. There are other gameplay segments, but let's focus on the main 3 first. The main 3 gameplay segments are racing, treasure hunting, and mech fighting. Racing is simple, and is like any other Sonic game. Just race through an entire stage that has enemies, obstacles, and loop-de-loops, and more to get to the goal ring. Personally, I think racing is the best mode out of all of the other gameplay segments. The treasure hunting segment is fun, but is my second favorite mode. The idea is to find 3 pieces of the Master Emerald, which is either buried or hidden very, very well. You have an emerald tracker with you that will signal how close you are to a piece. One bummer is that it only tracks the ones you need to find in a specific order, which means you can't find other ones before the one the game wants you to find first, which is a bummer. Don't get me wrong, you can get any other emerald pieces without a tracker, but that would be hard. Very hard. Although it's not impossible. It's much, much easier if you rely on the tracker though. Just saying. There are also some floating computers with hints to where a piece will be, if you can understand them. I found the computers to be much easier to figure out due to me catching on quickly what each hint is pointing to. Although I bet it was hard when I was young, no doubt. Treasure hunting is a fun mode, but it's honestly my second favorite, so it's not perfect. As for the mech segment, you pilot a mech and you shoot down a gauntlet of enemies in your path to get to the goal ring. You can fire in 2 ways. 1, by tapping your fire button to shoot a normal bullet round, which can be hard to aim right due to the mech's physics, although I mostly like shooting this way more. Or 2, hold down the fire button and lock on to a group of enemies, then let the fire button go to fire at all of them. And the more enemies you hit with that laser, the more bonus points you'll get. Although you do have a limit to how long you can hold the button down, which is a bummer, so plan your attack wisely if you plan on getting cool combos. This mode is honestly my least favorite segment out of all of these. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate it. I just don't like it that much. I mean, the physics could have done much better to feel like a cool Mech Warriors fight or something like that, but nope. All the other modes in this game besides the main 3 are car racing and the Chow Garden. Car racing is played once per story mode. After beating one of the courses, you can unlock it to race everyone else in a 3-lap car race. It plays great, and I find it most interesting how you drift with your car. Now all these other modes like Chow Race and Chow Karate and Car Race, I forget how Well, as I recall, if you turn either left or right, then hold down and then release the brake button B very quickly, you will notice a big change in the physics of your turning. And I do mean physics. If you collect a few rings on the road, you can press the Y button to use a speed boost. This is a good game mode, but it's not my top favorite. As for Chow Garden, I didn't get that much time to spend with it, because for one, I would have to start over on my memory card to show you it. And while I had plenty of time to do it, it didn't fully cross my mind. Although I do know some stuff about it, even some stuff from my childhood experience that I think will be satisfying enough to get you to somewhat like this mode. Chow Garden is a Tamagotchi-like simulator that you can raise your own little chows in, which is cute, and stuff with your chows does still go on even though you exit the mode. You can do anything to a chow. You can pet it, feed it, let it roam around the place, and more. I did find out online, even from a good friend on YouTube, GoodGets30, now known as The GoodGets Life, a lot of secrets in this mode, which I find quite interesting. There is a place called the Chow Kindergarten, where you can either drop your chow off for the preschool, shop for items using rings to buy stuff, have advice from the principal on how to raise a chow, have a checkup at the hospital office, and have your chow named by a fortune teller. Creepy. Along with that, you can participate in chow races, or chow karate, which, depending on how high you raised some of your chow's stats, will either win or lose all by themselves. You kind of do help them out in these modes, but not that big of helpful stuff anyway. You can also put them in a Game Boy Advanced looking thing to transfer your chows to it for reasons. I never tried it before because I never had the right Game Boy Advance game that is compatible with it, sadly. So, I had no experience on how good it is. Sorry. One more thing I will mention is that the light cores and the little animals you get by beating enemies in story mode will be carried over into the Chow Garden. And you can increase their stats and either give them new skin color or give them replicas of the little animals' wings, paws, etc. There is so much more you can do in that mode. It'd probably take me forever to explain it though, so I won't mention it anymore. And I can tell you that during some parts of my childhood, I did have a lot of fun with this mode, and I think that's evidence enough that it's a fun mode for all to enjoy. Upon me finishing the script, I almost forgot to mention multiplayer mode. In multiplayer mode, you and a friend compete against each other in either racing, treasure hunting, or mech fighting. And you can also compete in chow races and chow karate, as well as car racing, but those are no big deal. Each mode you pick, you play a character from that specific gameplay segment from the story. Like in racing, you can play as Sonic or Shadow. In treasure hunting, you can play Knuckles or Rouge, etc. Although one cool addition in the Battle version, this version, compared to the original Dreamcast version, is each mode has 2 additional characters related and non-related to the story. Mostly non-related. These extra characters include Amy and Metal Sonic in racing, Tikal, the Echidna, and Chaos in treasure hunting, and a good and evil Chow in mech fights. I have no idea why they decided to do that. There are a bunch of stages, listed in categories, you can choose from, or you can do a random stage from a specific category by clicking on the levels on the left of the stage select screen. There are also options which you can set if you want handicaps on, do the best out of 3 for each stage, etc. Each stage is a bit shorter when compared to the story mode, which is nice. As for the Chow games, you can only use the Chows you have in your memory card, and there will be no computers in the way. That's the only difference between the two. And there is no difference between car racing in multiplayer mode compared to single player, except you have a friend with you. There really is no difference. So, moving on. Multiplayer mode is a fun mode to play, although the most fun me and my sister ever had was in racing mode. Multiplayer is fun, and I highly recommend you trying it out, even if you don't like the story and such. In options mode, you can either erase all data from your file, which I don't know why that would be the first option you see in options mode, change files, change the subtitles, and the language, and, this one's my favorite option, you can switch the background themes and option voices that plays when you select an option to a specific character in the game, like Sonic, Shadow, etc., which is pretty cool. And you can have, like I said just recently, you can have Sonic or Shadow voice some of the options you pick, like, is this okay or something like that, which is kind of cool. And you don't have to hear this sort of futuristic computer thing telling you the options and stuff.
Want to change the settings?
And, if anybody remembers, I actually did try the Japanese language in this game, and it was interesting. A couple of more things I will mention of the gameplay involves on why I chose the GameCube version over the Xbox 360 version. Yes, I do have the Xbox version, and I do think it's pretty cool. The 360 version has a loading screen which has hints, rather than the GameCube version's loading screen, which is none at all. The graphics are in HD, and it has a leaderboard and achievements, like any other normal 360 game. I assume it's the same for the PS3 version too, so... Although, the only difference between the two versions is that the GameCube version, this version, has Extras mode. In it, you can view your emblems for all characters and such. You can have advice from the annoying Omachow, and you can listen to the entire soundtrack of the game, which is cool. Although the 360 version doesn't have it. It only has achievements and a leaderboard. Granted, I probably needed to download the extra stuff to get the GameCube's version's special features when playing the 360 version, but I don't know. Maybe, or maybe not. I guess I should check after this is done, maybe. But it's for these simple reasons on why I chose to review this version rather than the 360 version. Although, if you have a 360 or a PS3, I recommend you downloading it. And then after that, download the DLC pack called Battle to get all the characters in multiplayer. And when I mean all the characters, I mean the stuff like Amy, Metal Sonic, Chaos, all those guys. I will stop explaining the gameplay there, but there is more to this game I have not mentioned yet. Now, growing up, I didn't think much of the game, and through most of the times I went back to it, I didn't form that much of a reviewer's opinion on it, if you know what I mean. So it was hard at determining in a reviewer's sort of perspective how fun it is. But quite honestly, I think the gameplay, at least for the racing segments, are best enjoyed by how you play it. Now what I mean is, during me recording the footage for this review, I was acting all cool and trying cool ways to blast through a stage and such. While there were other times, other than these footages and stuff, that I just wanted to get past a level despite how cool I do it. Although I do mostly do awesome tricks while I'm doing it, so... So, I guess what I'm saying is it just depends on how you enjoy it. Like, if you can handle some of the glitches or some of the game mechanics that may seem wonky or complicated. Or if you like blasting through a stage like a show-off or something. Or if you like just getting a stage over with to see what happens in the story, or to just get the emblem and get it over with. So, with all that in mind, I guess it just depends. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So, wrapping everything up, I think Sonic Adventures 2 is a fun game to play. Not the best of all time or anything, but a cool, fun pastime. Although it does have some camera problems, and some of the physics in racing mode and other modes is a bit wonky in some way, and, as one could expect, some glitches. But honestly, and this is the truth, the wonky physics and glitches never bothered me one bit growing up, and it still doesn't to this very day. Yeah, I am. And I am not kidding. So, I think you will have somewhat of a fun time with this game. And, if nothing else, at least have fun with a non-gamer in multiplayer, and have a blast all the way through, like me and my sister always done. So, I encourage you to get it and to play it. If you download the game for the Xbox 360 or PS3, be sure to download the Battle DLC to get all the extra multiplayer characters and stages. With everything I said and more, I decided to give gameplay 4 stars. With everything I said and more, I decided to give this game 4 stars with a silver medal, and I recommend it for most Sonic fans and people who are looking for a fun multiplayer experience. Oh my gosh. Whoo-wee! Another review done. Barely an entire week of videos done again. Okay. First of all, before the week is out, I am so sorry for this taking so long.
Well, maybe it didn't really take so long, but to me, it took forever, and I guess one of the reasons for it is always being lazy and, like, having days off and stuff, especially New Year's Eve. I so enjoyed that. But I've also been super addicted to Fire Emblem Awakening. I have been putting a lot of hours into 100%ing that game. I encourage you to get it. It's for the 3DS, and I cannot wait for Fire Emblem Fate. Okay, anyways, but if you missed my previous video before the week of 5 days of gameplay, before this whole game began with me playing through all the way, is that I wanted to make sure all the videos, including the review, was done before I release it all through the week. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to do. So, okay, so my idea worked, and I got all my videos, like, uploaded once per day, like, Sunday to Saturday, which is today by the time you see this, hopefully. So, with that in mind, did you like how this week went? I mean, me uploading a video through an entire week involving one game for my 5 days of gameplay segment. Did you like it? Do you think I should improve better? I mean, if you think I should improve better my reviews because of me being off or something today, or feeling like it's rushed or something today, then I totally understand. I'll try not to do that again, but if there's anything else you want to mention, like, did you like it? Did you wish I did some little thing? Well, let me know if you liked it or disliked it in the comments below. And with that out of the way, I think we're done for today. So, by the way, let me know in the comments, did you have a good New Year's Eve and New Year's Day? I sure did. Alright, so that will be all for today. So, thank you for watching, everybody. If you like what you saw today, be sure to like the video. If you like the channel you saw today, be sure to subscribe to my channel. When you comment, no swearing in the comments. Tell friends and family about this channel, and I will see you guys next time. Okay, see you next time, everybody. Here's a fun fact. Throughout me growing up, me and my sister thought that Knuckles, his last name was Achida. Knuckles the Achida. It wasn't until 1 or 2 years ago when I found out that his name was actually Echidna. Man, do I feel stupid about that. Wow. See you next time, everybody.